is the message? When I was in the hospital, trying to understand, trying to heal emotional and physical, and trying to understand how in the world, the people yesterday were my friend, now they turn against me, betrayed by my friends, my teammates, my teacher, and my headmaster. I couldn't understand. I was looking for an answer. I took a Bible, read a Bible, cover to cover, trying to find a solution. It didn't work because these people would carry the Bible and they go kill. That was not enough. One day I received a letter coming from the United States here, Tulane University, inviting me to run on a full scholarship. Guys, I went crazy. Because one of my dreams was to be in this country and run for NCAs. That was my dream.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Billy Yang podcast from here in the Billy Yang home studios. My name is Billy Yang, and I am thrilled to have you guys on board for yet another episode. Today's episode is definitely a different one because it was my very first live podcast that I've ever done from Austin, Texas, and I'll fill you in on that trip in a little while. But before we officially start and tell you all about today's guest, today was also, at the time of this recording, the Western States Lottery drawing. So that would make today, Saturday, December the 7th. And I am, for me, as somebody who participated back in 2015, as you've probably seen or you can see in my film From Squaw to Auburn, it's a very exciting and somewhat emotional day for people who have been waiting for many years to finally get their names drawn. It's an exciting moment. I can attest firsthand. I was at the North Face 50-mile challenge when it was back in December, and I remember somebody telling me, and my mind was just blown. I was out of cell range. I think I had like all of 2 tickets, but. So it made it all that much more unexpected. And when I was told that I got accepted, and the reality of it set in when I was finally back in cell range, checked all my messages, and they were just streaming in. It was awesome. Anyway, my usual cup of... Oh, no, today is bourbon, actually, not tequila. So I paid attention to the lottery for a little bit. I saw some familiar names, people I know, and more importantly, like... good people, like people that I'm friends with. And among them were names like Katie Trent, who the year that I ran, 2015, she was the youngest female finisher that year. She finished literally seconds ahead of Gunhild Swanson. And those two finishing, the last 2 finishers from that day just made the race so exciting. And if you're a historian of the sport, if you're a fan of the sport, you know all about Gunhild's finish, where she finished just with 7 seconds to spare before the 30-hour cutoff. So I'm excited about Katie and John, her father, running it again. John is going for his 10th finish, although he was already predetermined and in. And among the names is my friend and Patreon supporter, Dreama Walton. And I just wanted to chat with her to take us through the moment that she heard earlier today. So let's chat with Dreama briefly before we move on to today's guest, and let's give her a ring right now.
Hello.
Hiya, Dreama. This is Billy Yang. You're on the podcast.
Hi, Billy. How are you?
I'm excellent. More importantly, how are you, and how were you getting the message, getting the word, and where you were exactly?
Yeah, I am so excited. The nervousness hasn't kicked in yet because, all I can think about is how I've wanted this for many years. I just didn't think that it would happen this year, so I wasn't expecting it at all. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even watching my phone. And I know that sounds bad, but I was cleaning and taking care of my daughter. And then all of a sudden I heard my watch was sitting on the desk in my room charging because I knew I was going on a run in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I just heard buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. And I was like, whoa, what's going on over there? And I peeked, and it was like, congratulations, congratulations. And so then I ran to my phone, and I picked it up, and I'm like, I cried, screamed, jumped up and down. I mean, I think Addie thought I was nuts. And it was just, I mean, I have had a smile on my face all day long. It hasn't gone away.
What is this race meant to you specifically? I know a lot of people have different relationships with the race. Many people have tried for many years. What is the relationship with you and the race of Western states?
I mean, I think I just appreciate the history behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's one of the oldest ultras around. You know, and I've been like I've been ultra racing now for, you know, I think around 9 years. So yeah. I've known about it from the time I first heard about ultramarathons. And so it has always kind of intrigued me. And I just, yeah, I think I just appreciate the history. And, you know, all those who have ran it in the past. And it's just always been something that I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So was there a strategy, like in your own mind, were you setting yourself up to not be disappointed by not paying attention deliberately? Or did you legitimately have like errands that you had to take care of at the time of the lottery?
No, I absolutely kind of just put it out of my mind because I didn't think that I was going to get in. I mean, last year, I do remember, you know, looking at the live feed and watching every single name being drawn and being disappointed. And this year I was just like, you know, I'm not going to get it. So, you know, I'll just find out the results afterward. I do have things that I need to do. I mean, we went snowboarding last weekend and I had a lot of like catching up to do this weekend. And so I got distracted and so, I mean, I'm so excited, though. Yeah. I kind of actually love the way that it happened because it just added to the excitement, you know?
Yeah, I was just telling people before I called you, like, it was kind of the same thing with me, and I think you and I got in with the same amount of tickets. I was busy filming. I was busy filming the North Face 50-mile challenge when it was in early December back in 2014, so Western States was sort of the last thing on my mind, and because you're out of cell range, I didn't know, and then somebody drove up and told me, and when all the messages came through when I finally got back into cell range, that's when all the emotion hit me, and I like straight up bawled in a van full of other people. It's oh my god, it's so historic. You're right. I mean, there's so much history attached to it. It's a huge deal here in the States and internationally too. Yeah. So all of that. Yeah. All of that just makes it such an emotional and fun day.
Oh, it's a very special race.
Yeah.
You know, I ran a lot of races in Europe, and they're amazing in their own right. But I've volunteered at Western for the past 2 years, and I felt the energy, and I felt how special it is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I wanted to be a part of it. You know, the first time I volunteered, I was like, I am coming back. I don't know when, you know, as a runner. And my plan was to volunteer every year until I got to run it myself. And it just happened a lot sooner than I was expecting. I mean, I was running on the trails, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and I ran into Liz Coop. And she brought this to my attention today, which is why I'm bringing it up. She was like, do you remember telling me that you weren't going to run another 100 for a couple of years? And I'm like, yeah, things change quickly, right?
So this is after Leadville earlier this year.
Yeah, it was after Leadville. Yeah, I was like, I think hundreds aren't really my thing. I'm going to stick to like 100Ks and 50s. And, you know, I knew I put in for Western, but like I said, I just didn't think I was going to get in. So
well, it sounds like the lottery gods and the universe has other plans for you, because I know you are definitely not turning this down. Before I let you go, Dreama, how soon after all the congratulations did you start getting the, hey, if you need a crew, if you need a pacer, Holla.
Oh yeah, no, I already have a couple people who have. Well, actually, Chris Sipe, who paced me at Leadville, he's like, I want to pace you again.
Yeah.
So that's one. There's a couple that, and I'm sure there will be more who want to be a part of this special day for sure.
Well, that's the fun part is not only running it, but it does involve a team, and getting to be a part of that team just makes the whole overall experience. I don't know. I actually don't get people who decide to do it solo. Like, I like having that camaraderie. I like people either sharing my misery and sharing, hopefully, the victorious finish around Placer High when you get to the finish line.
Oh my God. Of course. I can't wait.
Yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
I'm super excited for you, Dreama. Congratulations once again. Give my love to Addie, and we will see you in Spa.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to
you
soon.
Thank you for having me on. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. That was Dreama Walton. She and I go back to the Silver Rush 50. I've told the story before, but we met literally when I was in the throes of a really bad moment during the 50 miler, and she kept me company, and we've been buddies ever since. So thank you, Dreama. Okay, so I want to introduce today's guest. Gilbert Tuhabonye may not be a household name for most of you guys, but he is a staple in Austin, Texas, and his home country of Burundi, Africa. He's an amazing, amazing person. I am so fortunate to be able to give him this opportunity to interview him live at the Loop Running Supply Company. This is during the week of TRE, which is the running event, and it is a gathering of retailers and brands in Austin, Texas. I wasn't going to go. I knew I had friends who were going, but with a couple of days out, I got this amazing opportunity from Russell at Jaybird. And so I said, Russell, let me dig into this guy because I need to be stoked about the author. And so I bought this book. It's called This Voice in My Heart. This is a book right here for those of you who are watching on YouTube. And I read it and I could not put this book down. This man's story will blow your mind. He is a genocide survivor. He's an incredible athlete, but his story will just inspire the shit out of you. He is that amazing. So without getting too hyperbolic, one quick thing I did want to note for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, there are a couple of moments of where the picture drops, but that's only for a few seconds. There was some technical issues revolving the camera, recording it. But anyway, please enjoy this episode. This was at the Loop Running Supply Company yet again. And I was invited by Scott Cravat from Nike Run Specialty, Russell Nato from Jaybird Sports, and of course from Pam and Ryan and the entire Austin community. Thank you for welcoming me in. Enjoy this episode, you guys.
All right, everybody, we're going to get going now. Sorry about that. Apologies. A couple of technical details. Sorry. So some quick welcomes and thank yous before we get started. First of all, thank you all for coming out this evening for a live recording of the Billy Yang podcast here tonight live. So first off, I just want to thank the brand I represent, Jaybird Sport, for making things like this happen, and want to thank Nike Running as well for bringing everybody here together as well. But more importantly, I think it's real, we're sitting in an amazing shop. And I think more than a running store, this is a community center. So I want to thank Ryan and Pam and everyone at the Loop for what they've been able to create here in Austin and what the community is all about. So tonight, real awesome. This is the second year in a row that the Jaybird and Nike have been able to come together with the Loop to be able to bring something live, something unique to Austin during a time when a lot of the running industry is here in town. We didn't want to do it at the convention center, which is not the place where the community is. The community's here, and we really wanted to be able to do it. And to bring someone who is one of the best storytellers right now in our sport and in all types of running and other types of storytelling. Billy Yang comes from Los Angeles. We've worked together now, him and I, on a couple of different projects over the last couple of years and known each other for quite a little while. And again, at heart, he's a storyteller. So a lot of video work, his films, etc., all done either, again, just sort of Billy because he wants to create something or because a brand wants to bring something to life and tell some stories. Billy's also taken that medium now to a podcast level, which I think is really awesome. It was, sort of all of us were saying, when's Billy going to launch a podcast? And now he's been really, really pushing some great, just some really interesting stories. And I think tonight's going to be a really, really special one. So anyway, Billy Yang?
Yes, thank you.
Let's go.
I feel like there should be someone else up here with me. I'm forgetting who that person is. Hi, Gilbert. Hello. Gilbert Tuhabonye, everybody. Have a seat, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, by a show of hands, who is familiar with Gilbert's story? Okay, how many of you guys are not familiar with the story? All right, you guys are in for a treat. Before I officially introduce Gilbert, I want to echo all the sentiments that Russell just said to Pam and to Ryan for having a place where we can hold events like this. Give them another round of applause, you guys, because without this as a hub, we can't. I mean, community is everything to me, as you well know too, Gilbert. And just thank you guys for doing something like this. Also shouting out Russell and to Scott back there from Nike Run Specialty. And to those of you who are unaware, as Russell so nicely introduced, I am a filmmaker and I am most recently a podcast host. So I am honored and delighted to welcome Gilbert Tuhabonye, who is a runner. He is a philanthropist. He is a coach. He's an author. He's a husband. He's a father. And so thank you for doing this. Gilbert Tuhabonye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I thought, before we really attack his story, I wanted to do a quick little warm-up, something I usually reserve towards the end of the podcast, but I thought it'd be fun to do kind of a lightning round, quick Q&A. What do you think about that, Gilbert?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I am excited to share your story, and thank you all of you guys for showing up. Question number 1, do you have a nickname?
Yes, it's Tumagu.
Tumagu, what does that mean?
Tumagu means around like a wind. When I was a little boy, I grew up where we didn't have water in the house, and the street was kind of dirt. And my mother would say, Tumagu, go get the water. And then as I'm running down the mountain, there was a dust. And then my grandmother would be saying, here he goes. We only see dust. Here he goes. Tumagu means dust, fast, you name it.
Yeah. I don't think Tumagu would work with me. How many languages do you speak?
Probably 5. But when I say 5, if I can answer good morning, good night, thank you, I call it a language to me. Yeah.
All right. Favorite cereal? These are very hard-hitting, important questions that you guys came to witness.
Oatmeal and granola.
You don't have a cereal? Like a real cereal? Okay. Is there a skill that you wish you possessed that you currently don't own?
Dancing.
Is that what I hear? That is not what I hear. She's calling you out, man. All right. I know Burundi is home, but say a Burundian is not competing at said given race. Who do you root for if the Ethiopian and a Kenyan are going head-to-head?
That's tough.
Does it depend on the person, or is there a country that you will be like, yes, undoubtedly this country?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah, it all depends on the person. I know you asked maybe Kipchoge and Bekele. I love both of those guys, so I know where you're going with this.
It's worth a shot. Okay, so I know music, namely singing, is a big part of your growing up, right? Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
No. But I can sing, though.
Okay. I'm looking at her reaction to see. Okay, a couple more. Favorite carb. We have rice, we have bread, we have pasta, and we have potato. What is your favorite carb source? You can throw a beer in there too if you're a beer guy.
Spaghetti.
Pasta it is.
Pasta, yeah.
Okay, now be careful. We are in Texas. American football or international football?
International football. Because I can play it. I can play the American football. But soccer, yeah, you play with the legs, yes.
Okay. Favorite actor?
You. Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. All right, this will dovetail nicely into the follow-up question. If they were to make a movie about Gilbert Tuhabonye, who would you like to see play?
Eddie Murphy.
All right, last question. So maybe on a bit of a more serious note, tell me where you were when Barack Obama, who is half Kenyan, half white, but when he was elected, was that a big deal to you?
Yeah, I tried to stay away from politics, but yes, it was a big deal. It was new, never happened before. Yes, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as an African and what he can accomplish in this country, I think it's a huge testament too. And it is the overarching theme of the book, which is his journey into America, but it's really the stories from your native land of Burundi that I think will really strike a chord. And by the way, Pam, is the book in fact for sale at the end of it? Okay, so if you guys have not read the book, I would highly, highly encourage you guys. I just recently picked it up as of like 72 hours ago when I found out I was interviewing you, and then I could not put it down. It was a gripping read. So while it centers around the detail of the horrific events of October of 1993, the book was also, for me anyway, my interpretation was that it was a bit of a love letter to the people in your life that helped you get to where you are now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. There are people like your mother, your coach, your uncle, your nurse, your cousin. I mean, these are all people that helped you really achieve everything to where you are exactly today.
If I might say, the story is not about running. The story is about overcoming obstacle. We live in a life where everything is busy, and sometimes you fell down. It's hard to get back and get going. And back in 1993, it was rough. I spent 3 months in the hospital. And during that time, first doctor said I would never run again. And during that time, my cousin, the nurse, all the people that helped me to keep going, to keep the hope that one day I will be able to run. And so it's very interesting. When people hear about a book and know who I am, they think about running. It's not about running. It's about the struggle that I lived, and I was able to overcome the struggle and look I am today.
Well, let's properly set up that story, because there are a handful of people here and in my podcast audience who obviously have not heard your story yet. So I'm really excited to share that. Why don't we just set things up by talking to us about where you grew up in your native country of Burundi?
I grew up in a small country south of Rwanda. It's very small. Many people do not know Burundi, but they know about Rwanda. And if I were trying to help you out, Burundi is called the heart of Africa. And the shape of Burundi is also, it looks like a heart. So if you grab your heart, that's the position and the location of Burundi in Africa. Growing up in Burundi was not easy. It was really hard. You think about what we have here, especially water. You get up in the morning, water is a few feet away from your home. When I was a young boy, I would get up in the morning and I would go fetch water 2 miles down the valley. Again, think about going to get the water. For those of you familiar with Austin, Shoal Creek, or Town Lake, this is the water that is shared with animals. It's dirty and contaminated. And I would go get the water, then I would run 6 miles to school. climbing from almost from 4,000 closer to 10,000 feet. It was hard. It was very difficult. It's funny you ask me about my breakfast. I will eat a heavy meal because I will go to school for 8 hours and I will not come back until 5, 6 o'clock p.m. So I will eat heavy meal. And so stay in the school, playing with my friend. And at the end of the day, I would go home. And I remember going home, and my mother would tell me not to ask help a stranger. I see a rain coming. It was in a really altitude, a lot of mountains. You can see the rain coming. And to avoid getting lazy or tired, I would start singing. I started singing so time can go fast, so to get home quick. I'm going to sing this song for you. It's a song about a lion and a runner. And when you're running for your life, the lion will not catch you. It goes, some of you know, Iyongwe, Iyongwe. Repeat after me, Iyongwe,
Iyongwe.
Iyongwe. So in the singing wise, Iyongwe ngo tuyisig, Iyongwe ngo tuyifat, Iyongwe ngiya hinyum, Iyongwe geza himbe, Iyongwe ngo tuyifat, Iyongwe. So there's a breathing technique. At the same time, you're hurrying, you're running fast to get home. It's getting dark. We don't have electricity. The streets are not lit. So really, it was to get home on the time and to avoid also the rain. Because my mother said, do not ask a stranger. Do not go in a stranger's house. So
I mean, 99.8% of people who run do it for fitness, for weight loss here. It really was literally the relationship with you is that it was for survival. It was for the water. It was to, in some cases, a man with a freaking machete, a Hutu man, at least we thought he was a Hutu man, would chase after you with a machete. I mean, these are the conditions that you lived in where it was all about survival, and that's what running, primarily what the relationship was. And somehow out of that, you still also came to really love it too.
Yeah, man, he's done his homework. So it's bringing it.
I told you I couldn't put it down.
So back when I was going to elementary school, they would have pygmies. They very
so
small.
So let's set it up because the population of Burundi is predominantly Hutu.
That's right, 85%.
And then the
14%
is Tutsi, which you are.
Yes.
And then
1% is pygmy.
Okay.
So
I wanted to set it up for them because the relationship is important, the Hutu and the Tutsis primarily.
So walking from school, going home was 6 miles, and there were a group of pygmies kind of halfway, they living at the top of the mountain. And as a young boy, we're trying to provoke them, and they're very, very aggressive, and they're very also defensive. So one day, I don't remember what I said, and they started chasing me. I ran for my life. I will never forget that. Part of because of the clothes. They don't have anything. They don't have a good clothes. They don't have. So when their body was hanging out, let's put it that way, and I started laughing, and as I'm laughing, one of the boys started chasing me with machete, and I ran for my life. Yes.
Let's set up that again to reference the Hutu and Tutsi relationship because it is vital in the overarching arc of the story. Was that I don't know. Can you properly explain? I know there's a lot of history there and it gets complicated, but I'm sure most of you guys, especially those of you guys who haven't read the book yet, don't really know about the history and the relationship between the Hutu and the Tutsi.
So if you would meet a Burundian, you would never tell who's a Hutu and Tutsis based on their look. But during the colonization in the early 1960s, when the Belgium came to Burundi, another way to penetrate, they were using some of the dividing sign. Tutsis, were known to have a big nose and muscular, and Tutsis were thin and also tall and pointing nose. Also, they happened to have a lot of cows. That was the distinction. And growing up in Burundi, growing up as young, I didn't know who was a Hutu and Tutsi because we speak the same language, we eat the same food. Back in the days, there used to be also intermarriage, but I came to know this Hutu-Tutsi really tension when really my school was attacked. You grow up knowing that's a Hutu, but that's it, end of the story. It's very hard when it comes to trying to kind of talk about the difference between a Hutu and Tutsi. Once you see them, really you can't tell. It's mainly the people fighting over power and based who started ruling the country. That's all. And based on affiliation, you grow up in a family, they tell you that's a Tutsi and that's a Hutu, and that's it. But in terms of the clear distinction, they all look the same. Yeah, pretty much.
I think in the book you liken it to how maybe some Caucasian people can tell the difference between an Irish person and an Italian person, right?
Yeah, you could tell based on kind of affiliation. When you go to school and then you see there's this group tended to hang out, trying to dig up a little bit more and figure it out and find out, why this group like to hang out and so on. But it's really hard to tell from an outsider who is a Hutu and Tutsis.
So I would imagine, obviously, for your personal relationship with your home country, you talk about it being, aesthetically anyway, the land is beautiful. It's up on a mountaintop where you had to run down and get your water and run back up. And, everything was fresh. You guys had your cows, you had your crops, your mother's sorghum beer that you love so much, and all of that, her cooking, which you reference several times in the book. But because of all the events, or specifically the October 21st event of 1993, it's a highly bittersweet and complicated relationship when you think back to your country, I'm sure.
So I think it would be unfair if I don't tell you that October the 21st, 1993. It would be unfair for all of you that here and why I am who I am today. October the 21st, 1993, it's the day that I will ever forget in my entire life. That day, I was in a boarding school 7 hours away from my family. And a Hutu president was assassinated. And I had no idea.
By Tutsi extremists.
Yes.
Yes.
Army. And in act of retaliation, the Hutu want to kill every Tutsi they could find. They came to my school and trying to lock everybody in the building and set the building on fire.
Well, before we get into that aspect of the story, I think it's really important to talk about the Hutu people that you're referencing because these aren't strangers.
That's right.
A lot of these people were teachers.
Yes.
Were your classmates.
Teammates. Yes.
Teammates. People, as you said, alluded to before, like these were your friends. We just intermingled and they were part of your daily lives. And then in an instant, it almost read like a horror movie or like a zombie apocalypse almost, where people were like instantly changed. The people you were describing in the book in great detail, like it really did read like a horror movie. Like how could people who 1 second were teaching you were a very prolific runner, so I don't want to like fast track that story too much. Maybe we'll go back to that later, but you were a very successful runner. You were known for your running. I think you ran a race when you were like in the 7th grade against upperclassmates yes. that you beat by a couple of minutes. So you really like set your mark as like this really accomplished and talented runner.
Yeah, so it's very hard. I was betrayed by my teammates and my friends. Typical, there's this friend of mine at that time, before everything, was my 4x4 relay. Here, if you're a coach or you ran in a high school, you know how you line up like a 4x4 mile relay. You know how you line the athletes. You're lining based on second fastest, The last one is always fast. That was not the case. The reason I won't forget that story, that was not the case. This young man called Severin was in size 9, and I was a size 9 in the shoes that time. And the way you would do it is you have the first one is a size 9, and second guy is 11, because we have 2 shoes. We didn't have 4 shoes. We have 2 shoes to share. So you have a size 11 we start, and size 9, and size 11. I was always the anchor, and I would run 9. So the reason I won't forget is we shared a lot. But that night, that morning, I was going to class, and the guy went like this. I'm going to cut your throat. I didn't even believe him. I thought he was joking. Until later, we went to ask a headmaster, if you are a parent, you know when you send your kids to school, a boarding school, the teacher, the headmaster, is a mom, is a dad for everybody. This is the same man who told me that I was going to see what Jesus saw on the cross. I was in a student council. We went to talk to him because our school got attacked. So we went to talk to the headmaster asking, what kind of security that we have, what the end of the day or the rest of the day is going to look like. We had a rumor. We want to hear from him. Instead of answering the question, he went straight look in my eyes. You are going to see what Jesus saw on the cross. Just think about that. Yes.
So you're very much a slave to routine. You're very comfortable with routine.
I am.
Yes. But that morning, the way you describe it is chilling because, again, not to trivialize this in any way, shape, or form, but like you would expect in one of those like zombie apocalypse movies, you start noticing things, right? The radio
Didn't work.
Where you got all your news and all your information. And then you started seeing off on the horizon people like blocking roads. So one by one, all these things started to come together and you started getting worried. You were still worried about the test that day.
Yes, I had it.
But because of your familiarity with your surroundings and of routine, it was starting to get to you, and then word started to spread, and then the incidents with your headmaster and the student.
Yeah, to walk you a little bit. When I woke up that morning, you have some signs of danger. I turned on my radio. It's a tiny radio, portable radio. It did not work. And I thought I was out of batteries. I changed the batteries. Still didn't work. Again, this is not here where you have 24 hours. You can turn the radio. It's at 5 o'clock exactly. That was my wake-up time to go study. It didn't work. I knew. There's always a sign. If the radio doesn't work, because when there's a coup d'etat, the first thing they do, they have to seize the radio, the communication. So there's nothing going on with the people. I knew it was going to be a long day, yes. And then I walked to classroom again. It was around 6 o'clock. I'm trying to use the sun to study because there's no electricity, my friends, using the lights from the sun. And as I'm trying to study, people come into our school. And then I got closer to what I'm about to enter the class. Again, I was so focused. I had chemistry, biology, and physics. Those are tough subjects. And I wanted it to pass. Passing, we can talk about that. It's not a here, it's not an A. They can fail you. They're mean teacher down there. And so I wasn't going to let that happen. I wanted it to pass. And so I kept studying and ignored what's going on until one of my favorite teacher running hard because the teacher house is being attacked. At Tutsi, there was a group of teachers, Tutsis, that been attacked. One of them will get taken away. And I learned that it was going to be a long day, that we'll be attacked, and they're going to put us in a burning building. So let's stop here.
Did you say let's stop there?
Let's stop here because it would take me to. So they said, I carry on. So the teacher Damas was his name. He told me that there is a plan. He heard that there is a plan that they're going to kill all the Tutsis, starting on teacher, then senior. I was a senior at that time, and then a junior, and so on, always to the freshman. That got me worried, because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I'm 7 hours away from my home. I can't take a bus to the city. The roads have been broke. They kind of chopped all the big eucalyptus, you name it, big one, and they put on the street, and so no car will pass by. So started getting worried, and the rest was a bad day.
So they were armed with the machetes. They had clubs.
Correct.
And they started drumming. They started chanting, tied you guys up, stripped you guys of your clothes, and then started killing. I won't get into too much detail, but they started killing the bigger men. Is that right? Did they specifically target the bigger Tutsis amongst you guys and kill them, or was that a sign of, to create chaos or to create fear? Was that, as you look back on it, was that specifically their plan, to deliberately take down the bigger men who may be more physically imposing?
Looked like we're in a movie theater. That scene, we were roped together, and they asked you 2 questions. Do you want to die in the fire, or you want to die here? What happened, these men with a big stick and machete, they would start hitting on the neck. They had a communication. This thing was planning, by the way. It didn't happen overnight. I just didn't know. I was too focused on the studies. I didn't pay attention to what's going on around me. But this thing was going around. There was propaganda. And so they had a saying that they're going to hit everybody on the neck. The whole idea is, if you get in the fire, you kind of paralyzed. There's no way to move. And so as we walking through, and by the way, we were stripped naked. As we're getting closer to the building, they form this kind of like a chute where they have a kind of like an entrance where this man misses you, the other one won't miss you. And the whole idea was to hit everybody here. So that typical scene, there was this tall guy, probably 6'5". He was the son of a general, and a Tutsi general. He refused to go in. He refused to go in the fire, and he was ahead of me because they were taking one at a time. And once he refused, they chopped him in my face. With fear, I jumped myself and pushed myself into the building. That's the scene we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're in the building. They start dumping gasoline-lit branches, and you guys are in there. Again, feel comfortable sharing only what you feel comfortable sharing, but did you say in that moment, well, there was a voice that you referenced, hence the title of the book, The Voice in My Heart, that kept telling you it was going to be okay? Was that God? Was that just an inner monologue that you were having with yourself? Where was that coming from in this impossible situation where you're surrounded, where they're starting to light this building on fire, where your classmates are dying in front of you or being burned alive in front of you?
This is really hard. But when I think about it, and when I start to kind of figure out where was that voice come from, everything they did to me, strangely, I was like, I would report this, I would tell this, no matter what they were doing. So when I entered the building, I walk in a kind of almost 200 people, closer to 200 people, almost half dead, and I knew I was gonna die. And but what saved me was I was not hit on the neck. I was able to fight once I get in the fire. I was able to go, as you can see, friends, here, I was able to fight. The fire was coming from the roof. I would protect my head because I saw in the fire someone, I don't want to go to details. So I was protecting myself. I went to crawl under the pile and then protecting myself. That's why this is burned in my back. And in the midst of the whole mess, I kept hearing a voice. The voice was telling me that I'll be okay. But I didn't know where the voice was coming from. And I kept counting. I know this one. I will report it. I know this. I would tell the parents. I would tell the family. I know this. I was counting. This is my teammates. This is my teammates, the people that I know. And after 8 hours, they thought everybody in the building was dead. But I was listening right next to the door. I couldn't go out. They guided the building. They made sure that everybody who was trying to get out, they killed with machete. And I was so scared. So at almost 3 a.m., they thought everybody's dead, right? The headmaster again climbed up at the top to throw some gasoline inside again. And even the people that were half dead, they started sneezing. And then they want to come in to finish up with their spears. That's what really I had to fight. I had to fight for those people who were coming in. And they noticed that I was still alive. They said there's someone who's still alive, but they didn't know who it was. Then I took a dead body. I broke the window.
Use a femur bone.
Femur bone. I didn't have a choice. That voice told me to get out. I grabbed the bar. The house was a lot of bars, so you have to break 2 to 3. And again, my grandmother was a genius. Told me that if you can stick your head up, your whole body can go through. I did. She was a genius. Yes, I did. So what happened is I grabbed the bar. It was hot. Throw my leg first outside, thinking if they cut my legs, at least I'll be able to testify. I'll be able to tell the story. Because I saw what happened in the fire. It was hard to identify. So I decided, if they chop my leg, at least I'll be able to see. So I landed in the midst of them. This is what I call a miracle, friend. I landed in the midst of them. They did not see me. Today, that's what I call a miracle. Because I can't explain how in the world they were waiting for someone to jump out of the building, and I landed in them. They didn't see me. Today, I call it a miracle. Then because there was a gasoline in my back, I felt like I landed in heaven. Even it's hard to breathe. And I did a lot of stuff to help my breathing. But when I landed outside, it was like heaven. It took 10 to 20 seconds to realize that I am in an area that I can run. I was expecting somebody to chop my head off, but nobody. Then I started running. This thing is hard for you guys to comprehend. When it comes to that time, I don't know how to explain except miracle. And then I ran. As I'm running, then there was fire in my back. Gilbert is leaving. So that was a way to alert everybody. Then they started chasing me. As they're chasing me, they were drunk. They were tired. They've been guiding people for a whole day. So they gave up. They said I would die anywhere. They said because the area I went through was a Hutu dominance, they said I'm going to come back to them, and then they will be able to kill me the next day. It's like, we'll save him for next day. Carry on.
Well, I think context here is important because of just the sheer juxtaposition and contrast from the life you created now. So apologies in advance if I get into too much detail, but while they were chasing you and while you were hiding, you had to do the unthinkable at one point and take the life of another human being.
Yes. So what happened was, again, this thing was a planet. It was not just happen overnight. They dug up a lot of holes to bury people. And it rained that evening. There was a lot of heavy rains. Those holes were full of water. As I'm running, I didn't know. It's dark. I'm going up down the hill. I landed in one of them. As I'm landing one of them, I was chased, but this guy, he had like a machete. He had a bow arrow. He had what else he had? He had tons of stuff with him. So he ended up in the ditch with me. And you know what happened? I was like, I am dying anywhere. I have to get rid of this guy. Watching Chuck Norris movie, that helped me. That helped me. Seriously, you like, how can you kill a big guy chasing you? I don't think it was me. It was like super power energy. I don't know where I got that from. But to me, to be able to stop that guy who was chasing me, and I was able to go on. So that's probably what you're asking.
Yeah. It was fight or flight. I mean, you were fighting for survival, and to fast track the story a bit, you end up in a hospital. Your leg, 40% of your body? 30% of your body is burnt.
That's correct.
And they were telling you that you're not able to run again.
Correct.
How long were you in the hospital, and when did you go from the hopelessness that you felt? Because it's still, you're at a point where you're paranoid about everything and everyone. You had people you kind of picked and choose, or you were very careful on the people that you let treat you. You made sure you read the vials. I mean, this is the level of paranoia, and probably, I mean, I would say definitely rightly so. When there's all this people, and when there's 80% of the people who are Hutu, like, who can you trust, right? So tell us about the moments in the hospital and just regaining your faith to one day run again.
Yeah, it was really hard because when I got in the hospital, first my cousin Bernard, who's not here tonight, he stopped school and came to guide me and protect me and be with me while I was dealing with what I call injury. So the two cousins, Bernard and another cousin, they all came and kind of guide me. Then I had to pick who was coming to treat me because I didn't trust anyone. I lost trust. The other piece was while I was in the hospital, the killing was still happening. You see these people will carry Bible during a day. They're walking with a Bible during a day. And then you hear the next day there was killing in close by their home. So how in the world that you carry Bible? How in the world do people call themselves a Christian and then they go kill people? To me, I really was very angry. So I came across a nurse, Beatrice, and I went to the doctor, said, this Beatrice is going to be my nurse from now on. Otherwise, I'm not going to let anybody. I will die. I'm not going to let anybody touch me. So she will be the person come to, for shots and everything. She will be the one taking care of me. And, it was very hard.
How long were you in the hospital again?
I was in the hospital for 3 months. But when I was in the hospital, trying to reflect on the life, what happened that happened the 21st, why in the hospital? I should tell you this. We had option to run. When we were trying to run away from school to escape, I was the fastest kid in the whole village. Probably I was among the top 10 in the country. You combine the soldiers and the student. I was the top 10 runner in the country. But when they said we're trying to run away to the army, I was the first person to get captured and brought back to school. The slowest person made it, but I didn't. What is the message? When I was in the hospital trying to understand, trying to heal emotional and physical, and trying to understand how in the world, the people yesterday were my friend, now they turn against me, betrayed by my friends, my teammates, my teacher, and my headmaster. I couldn't understand. I was looking for an answer. I took a Bible, read a Bible, cover to cover, trying to find a solution. It didn't work because these people would carry the Bible and they go kill. That was not enough. One day I received a letter coming from the United States here, Tulane University, inviting me to run on a full scholarship. Guys, I went crazy. Because one of my dreams was to be in this country and run for NCAs. That was my dream. And so when I received that letter, it pushed me to the edge, pushed me to do crazy stuff. I couldn't extend my leg. I'll be able to show you later. I could not extend my right leg because it was bad. That's what I
described it as a chicken wing, right?
Yeah, and so I could not put a weight on whole leg. And so when I received this letter coming from Tulane University inviting me to run on a scholarship, I was like, I don't care. If there is someone out there that trusts me and believe in me, I can do this. I extended leg. There was a nasty blood that came out. But from that day, I started sleeping, I started dreaming big, and 3 months, I was out of the hospital.
Was that the bicycle story?
It was a bicycle story. Okay. A friend of mine brought the letter. Renovat was the name, came to the hospital, and he brought the letter. And then I don't know how these letters have been in the country, because they didn't know what happened. And so I told him to go see the doctor, but I told him to leave the bicycle here. Leave the bicycle here. I watch your bicycle, but the doctor wants to talk to you. And I jump on the bicycle. I stretch it out because there was no other way to do it. And from that point, I started sleeping. And yeah, that was the beginning.
And this is where, again, to fast track the story a little bit. And if you guys come up with any questions, we'll do a little Q&A at the end of the podcast. To fast track the story, you meet your coach, who's also hugely instrumental in helping you develop as a runner. And you make it to the United States. Tell us about that story and how exactly you ended up in, I think it was Florida at first?
Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia. So after everything that happened, I tried to compete in a race because you have to earn it. I tried to compete in a 400. It was 800 was my favorite event. I had to compete in the 400 to select the team to go represent Burundi in the African Championship. And I won. I won a 400. It was not fast. It was 49:11 on a dirt, right? No, but I was still had a lot of scars. And the guy ahead of the officials, they said, we're not taking this guy. We have some healthy guys we can take. We're not taking this guy. Look at the scars. That's going to be embarrassing the country. That pushed me to fight for my life, to fight for the spot. And because I kept training and confident, and also the scholarship at the Tulane University, I was able to make here. Coaching, we spend numerous time working my form. And 96, I made it here. I came here as a prospective student and also as an alternative to be in Olympics. I didn't have the standard. I thought, coming to the United States with good technology, competition, I would qualify. And it was Georgia. Anybody from Georgia? No offense. Anybody from Georgia? Where in Georgia? Where are you from in Georgia? Atlanta. Yeah, I was LaGrange. That was the 65 miles away from Atlanta. So after the Olympics, instead of going back home, I stayed in the United States. It was a training center called LaGrange Training Center. And then they moved the training center after LaGrange to Savannah. And then from there, 98, I got a call from Abilene Christian University. I visited a lot of school, but I decided to go to Abilene Christian University.
And it continues with the theme of the overarching theme of the book is that you just keep meeting people who want to help you out, who, I don't know if it's because of your story or just out of sheer goodness of their own heart, they just keep helping you out. They connect the dots, help you connect the dots, and either take care of you, they will fundraise for you. I mean, this is just, it was like manifest destiny for you to end up in the United States.
Yeah, so I couldn't afford a ticket to come home, to come to the United States. The government was poor, didn't have any money. There was this organization that decided these kids deserve a second chance. So they raised money so they can buy my ticket to come here to the United States. But guess what? When I first earned my first check, thank them. So I always had people. I'm very fortunate and lucky to always have people that support me. And
some of the more enduring parts of the book involve your travel, especially the first time you came to the States. And I think the The part that I found, I kind of laughed out loud at or chuckled out loud at was the fascination with hamburgers with Americans. You were like, what's the big deal with hamburgers here? Do you still feel that way?
I think that first experience killed me because I haven't gone to that restaurant since that day. I'm not going to say it. But
I mean, for reference, you're used to, like, again, really fresh food that your mom used to make for you, like straight off the dirt, straight out the whatever animal you might be eating. And to go from that to the highly processed bullshit that we eat here.
You know, here's another news that you didn't know. In Africa, you're not allowed to take the food and go. Eat as you go or eat in the car, right? You eat on the table. You leave the table when you finish eating, right? I was not given that option. Here to go. No, I was not given that option. So, and when this gentleman said in a crazy Southern accent, "Here you go," I still remember. Yeah, because that was not an option.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, my friend Sally's over here. We have a story where we went to Italy and we asked for like our coffee to go, and she looked at us like, and then kind of reluctantly rumbled through and like ended up with a little styrofoam cup and a lid that barely fit. So I guess we're the ones that's constantly on the go. Some of the other endearing stories. Your first time traveling to foreign countries, namely Japan. Can you tell people about that experience?
Oh, yeah. So
this is your first time seeing an Asian face, right?
Yeah. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa. I mean, that culture is so beautiful. I'm like, why people bow? Why? So, for those of you that know where Burundi is in Japan, it's a long way. It's a long way. So I flew from Burundi to Brussels, and then to London, and London straight to Tokyo. And the game were at Fukuoka. It was 95. It's called Universiade, which is like it's a game for colleges. And that's what I met incredible coaches from this country. And it was a long trip. We got there, and they had a team to kind of set up the reception. It was a very beautiful done. And for the first time to see people from across the globe, you have people from all over, South America and Europe, Africa, you name it. The excitement in kind of village. It's like Olympics pretty much for the student. It was an incredible experience. But I don't know where he's going with this. No. But what happened was on my way home, I had $700. That was a big deal, by the way. $700, that was a huge, from $0 to $700 I had in my pocket. But the trip was so long. I left the wallet in the plane, changing from London to Brussels. Because I was never sit in that certain position for like that many hours. And so I lost it. And then as I'm heading home, trying to retrace, figure out what happened, how can I get back to get in my wallet. And by the time I reached back to London, I couldn't find it. I don't know if that's one you're talking about, but there was so many. But the culture in Japan, people are bowing, konnichiwa. I ended up picking up some, the konnichiwa, the konbawa, and how to say thank you. Those are the language we're talking about. How do you say thank you very much? That's the first thing that I learned. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. And then you have to bow. Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah.
So here in the States, people catch wind of your story. You get to meet the President of the United States, President Bill Clinton. You meet your hero, Muhammad Ali. Tell people about that.
Yeah. So 99, I won NCAAs 800 indoor. And as a part of rewards for winning, that year I won the athletes, the most courageous student of the year. When we're running, there's some people always looking and checking. They noticed that I have a lot of scars, my back and my arms and my leg. And I remember crossing the finish line. Of course, they have to drug test. They have to test if you're taking drug. And so from the moment that I crossed the finish line, there was a camera following me from the finish line all the way to the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, that's a testing. But that camera was looking at all my scars. And so 2 weeks later, I got a note that I won the most courageous student of the year. As an award, I had to go to White House to meet Bill Clinton and also to meet my childhood hero, Muhammad Ali. So at the White House, I remember a few things. But at the White House, Bill Clinton received us. There was another girl from New Mexico. It was the two of us. And incredible moment. And he came to me, nice to meet you. I've heard great things about you. You know his voice, very, can you imagine the president saying things like that to you? Nice to meet you. I admire you. Things like that. I was incredible. And then Muhammad Ali, it was a Disney World, Orlando. And Muhammad Ali at that point, his health was kind of going down south. And we're sitting on a table, right? The same table. I'm going to shake his hand. And he asked me autograph. Just imagine someone like Muhammad Ali asking little me to sign autograph. Yeah, sure. I jumped. Usually you hesitate, but I jumped to the opportunity because this is the man that I look up to. This is the man that I dream to be. What he's done for this country and for the sports, asking me autograph. It was an incredible experience.
So the second half of your life is just taking on this weird Forrest Gump like. You also carried the Olympic torch in 1996.
Yes.
I mean, just these incredible events. You were on CNN. Your story got out there. It's just like, and you spoke at a TEDx event. I mean, look at your life now. Contrast to where you were in those moments where virtually all hope was lost and gone. That's a crazy, crazy journey.
Yeah, to that extent, anybody from London here, this book is the same story, but the book is called Running Man in the UK. So I went to tour the book, UK for the book tour. And as I was in London, right, I got a call from Chuck Norris. You know Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris goes, hey man, I would love to meet you. I just read your book from here. I was traveling to Hawaii. I couldn't put down. I would love to meet you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Chuck Norris, that's another hero of mine growing up. It was incredible. I flew straight from London to Houston before I even come home. Yeah, it's been a great journey. It's been an awesome journey to be able to meet these incredible people. And I'm a blessed man. I'm a lucky man. Yes.
I have a couple more questions and then we'll open it up to the audience. How did you find Austin?
Beautiful city. I can talk about a lot about Austin. So I was in Abilene. I was about to go do a grad school in Weber University. I think it's in Norfolk, South Carolina. And my mentor at the university, Abilene Christian, was a friend, a roommate of Paul Coroza, the owner of Rantex. He said, I would like for you to go to Austin to meet Paul Coroza, a friend of mine. So when I came to Austin, Paul Coroza was like, I would love for you to come down here. And that's how I found Austin. And Austin has been a second home. It's a beautiful city. The people that I met here, incredible people that helped me really discover through my talents, they're here in Austin. Thank you, Austin.
Get up for Austin. And you're married, 2 lovely daughters, one off in college?
Yes, freshman in college at Wesleyan, Connecticut, and then I have an 8th grade at St. Andrews. Yes.
How's that as a dad?
It's awesome.
But she's far away.
Yeah, she's far away, but it's not like when I left my family coming to the United States. They have what we call a cell phone, and we can talk, we can chat. It's like she's at home, and one call away. I mean, it's not the same. It's not the same. She's far away, but we talk once in a while.
And you have FaceTime and
yes.
all the technologies.
Yeah.
You did go back in the book anyway. You talk about going back to Burundi once and how unpleasant an experience that was because you were just, whether it was paranoia, whether it was like actual news of people who were looking for you or a combination of both. Have you been back to Burundi since?
2011, I went, I needed a full closure of a few things. One was to go and visit the place that I escaped, just to kind of see. There's a monument
Yes.
built. It's called Ne Jamais Plus, which means never happen again. And I wanted to go to the monument. Is any psychologist here? I was told don't go. But you know me, I'm tough. I think I'm tough sometimes. And going back to Burundi, it was scary because I didn't know what's going to happen. I thought the people that trying to kill me, they still out there looking for me. I got the best security. And I was able to go. And what happened, it was incredible. Some of you don't know that besides what happened to me, there is a foundation that I was born, the Gazelle Foundation, that give a clean water to the people back in Burundi, where I grew up. And I never seen the project. I never seen the people really that we serving, the people that we helping. And I told them, I'm coming to say hi to my family. I don't need any exposure. I don't need anything at all. I just want to go and say hi to my family and come back. It turned out they knew I was coming. They organized some kind of celebration. I'm driving to my home. All of a sudden, the freeway, people camp for hours. They started coming out. They've been hiding. They started coming in. I thought it was attacked. My vehicle has been attacked. So, but these people, they came to the street and they celebrate to kind of welcome me home and also to thank the foundation to what we're doing to bring a clean water to the people. It was unbelievable experience. Unbelievable. Then there's one thing when you help someone to be able to meet that person and thank you in the person. They were calling me, angels and you name it. But at the end of the day I was so happy to be back home and to be able to meet these people. Then I told my family that I am going to a place that I escape. But I didn't want to go with my children or my wife. I was like, I am going myself. I had some protection. I went there. As I'm entering the building, that place where they chopped my friends, I lost my voice. I don't know what it was. Everything started coming to life. Everything started coming so fast, and I couldn't talk. I was with my cousin. He kept checking, making sure that I was okay. I didn't have any heart attack or anything. After maybe an hour, I was able to talk because it shocked me so hard. Then we left the place. I tooled everything. Then we left the place, coming back to the city. As we go into the city, we said, let's stop and kind of take a refreshment. It's been a long day. We go to this bar. The first thing that I saw, it was a man, a general that was in charge of the protection, come to protect the student. They heard what happened to my school. They were coming to help, but they kept running into barricades, because these people, what we do, they dig up in a hole in the street, and then we cover the dirt, and when these tanks are coming, they end up sinking. So it took them forever to come to help us. I had no idea. This general told me, and I haven't asked him general for almost 10 years. Then we kept going in the city. A woman that took care of me before my parents can find out that I was alive, I was able to see her. Just think about it. Someone that took care of you I couldn't do anything. She helped me, she bathed me, she fed me before my parents could find out that I was alive. And she was able to get a hold of my parents. I saw her. How cool is that to meet someone that has saved you, that helped you? To me, I felt like the trip was amazing because not only I saw the people that we're helping, but also to get a closure and to figure out and find out really what happened that night, why the soldiers couldn't come and be on the time to come help us, why a lot of the students died. And luckily I was survived. I needed to know. And the general told me, and meeting Lucy, who's an angel to me that saved me, was amazing.
Well, let's wrap things up with talking about the Gazelle Foundation and Run for the Water race as well. The philanthropic work that you're doing right now. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you're doing for your home country of Burundi?
Yeah, this is where the Austin community really have a big thank you. The Gazelle Foundation, tell you the story, fetching water before school and after school. And the water was drinking, it was dirty and contaminated. But right now, because of the Gazelle Foundation, we're able to give more than 100,000 are getting clean water close to home. We don't put a water in the house. We put it outside. We reduce the distance from 2 miles to 1 lap around the track, 400. That's how far the people have to go to get a water. We're targeting markets, hospitals, school. We target a big area where we have more people, but we also no tribal specific. Everybody, Hutu, Tutsi, Twa, they're all getting clean water. That's what I call transformation of village. We focus on one area, a whole county. Think about it for those of you who live here in Austin area, Travis County, the whole county, making sure that before we can just go here and there, make sure that everyone have water. And so we're able to do that. It's a huge thank you to the Austin community. And we do too a lot of fundraising, but one major one is Run for the Water. You know it, those of you done it. You run a race, somebody get a clean water for life. That's simple. We done the math, you run the race, someone gets a clean water. Because we don't, our money goes straight to help the people. We don't go through the government. So it's very, very simple. And that's how we're able to do it. And again, thank you, Austin.
Yes, and thank you, Gilbert. We have, I realize it's getting late. Maybe just a couple of questions if you have any. Craig, can you? We have one right there with the gentleman in the front. Can you run this mic over? Thank you.
I can talk pretty loud.
Well, I want to get it on the recording too, if you don't mind.
That genocide, was that just on one night happening in Burundi? That happened to you? Or was it similar to Rwanda, where it went on for months?
Yeah, what I'm talking about, that's a personal experience that would happen. But the genocide went on for a couple months. It's still up to today. People are dying. It just doesn't make the news, but people are dying on a daily basis.
You lost a couple of uncles and ultimately your father.
That's right.
Also to these senseless attacks. So.
Yeah. So the Rwanda genocide happened in '94. After two presidents, the Burundi president and the Rwanda president were in the same flight coming from a meeting. They got shot, and so that's where '94. That's when the genocide started in Burundi. I mean in Rwanda, but it started in the Burundi '93, '94 in Rwanda. Yeah. Thank you.
Couple more questions, you guys. Don't be shy. We have one right back there. Actually, why don't we just take this lady along the way?
So how did you reconcile the Bible and God? The people were killed?
Again, that was a very difficult time for me. I brought up as a Catholic, carry a lot of guilt. Even in the fire, I was like, I look around who was in the fire. I was like, why am I here? I'm here because I was bad. by the boy. When everybody will go to church, guess what I would go? I would go run, or I go play ping pong, or I go and I would go play volleyball. Because what happened, the ping pong story was, it's a big school and we only have one table, and to play you have to be good. So when everybody would go to church, I would go play ping pong. And so when I was in the fire, that story of a ping pong, I thought I was being punished, right? That I need to ask really a kind of like a forgiveness. So in that hospital, watching the people carrying the Bible and go kill people, I decided I didn't go to church for a while. I saw a bunch of hypocrites. I didn't go to church because I see everybody, especially if you're walking with the Bible, to me it was a symptom or the sign that you're a hypocrite. And so, but eventually I was able to come to a conclusion that I really need to go back to start praying to God, because look what happened. I almost died, and who saved me? If you dig down, who saved me? It wasn't not because I was the fastest. I was given another chance. And who gave me that other chance? I think is the man upstairs.
Doing incredible things with your second chance. We had one other question. That gentleman, the great Patagonia, yes.
Sure. I guess my question is, with post-traumatic stress that came from this event, how was running an outlet for you, I guess, in the years after or to this day? Where does running fit into that equation?
Running, my friend, is my therapy, is my freedom. When I run, my mind is free, my mind is clear. If I don't run, people will tell you, if I don't run, I'm not in a good mood. So running is everything for me. I've always loved to run, but this is a different. We have a mantra, run with joy, because I ran for my life. I ran to fetch water, and I ran also to survive. Right now, I have chosen to run with joy, because when you enjoy it, there's no end. You can go on. You can go on and on, and so really running helped me to clear my head, and kind of really brought to life to so many aspects.
I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you so much to Pam and Ryan for having us at your store, to Scott, to Russell, and of course to Gilbert Tuhabonye. Everybody, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for sharing your story, you guys, and thank you for coming. Buy a book, you guys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, you guys, there you go. That was the episode. My thanks once again to everybody who showed up to the event, to the entire Austin running community, and to my friends who showed up and supported me, like people like Coop, Sally, Trappy, Joby, Maggie. Your support means a lot, so thank you guys for showing up. And let's see, we have new Patreon pledges to thank from the last episode. We have people like Kim Bueno from Austin, Texas. So, hey, I don't know if you were at the show, Kim. Hopefully you were, but thank you for your generous pledge. And to Marlene Stokeby from Estonia. Wow. I think you might be my first Estonian. Anyway, so those are my $7 and up pledges. And we also have continuing producers of the show, Gary and Tammy Jones, Mark Grabowski, Mark Griffith, Wayne Chan, Andrew Pollard, Brian Sands, and Liz McCutcheon. And if you too want to be a supporter of my content, you can do so at patreon.com/BillyYang. If you want to send me anything for the holidays, or if you have any mailing inquiries, we work care of Billy Yang Films, 1240 Rosecrans Avenue, Suite 120, Manhattan Beach, California, 90266. Otherwise, you can reach me at Billy Yang Pod on Instagram, at Billy Yang on Twitter, Billy Yang Podcast on Facebook, and Billy Yang Podcast. I have Billy Yang Films too, but Billy Yang Podcast at gmail.com, where you can reach me direct. As I say, I can't promise I will respond to each one, but do trust me, I do read each and every one. Like this lovely note that I got from across the pond in France. Hey Billy, this was a couple of weeks ago. Hey Billy, I'm super happy to write you today. Let me introduce myself a little bit so that you'll be able to more understand the following message. My name is Charlotte. I'm 17 and I live in Southeast France. That's why my English might not be perfect, but never mind. I love running, especially trail running. I'm fond of your production stuff, films on YouTube, podcasts, and everything. I discovered your podcast on Spotify 2 or 3 months ago, and I've listened to every single one of them. At first, it was to improve my English skills. I wanted to listen to something more authentic with a nice American accent. Thank you. Because in case you don't know, our English teachers and friends usually have terrible French accents while they speak English. Okay, I'll have to take your word for it. But slowly I began to enjoy your stuff, and I listened to you every morning on the bus going to school. I shared your content with several friends of mine, the athletic ones, but also the others. And it seems they all found something to benefit in. That's one of the many reasons your work is splendid, because you manage to gather people with opposite points of views about sports. You're not only creating stuff to 100-mile runners, but for everyone. As I said earlier, I enjoy trail running. Longest distance I've ever run was a half marathon on road, but I took part in short trail races in Chamonix. She goes on to write about Lucy Bartholomew. She's such an inspiration to me, and I adored your episode with her. I wanted to thank you for what you're doing and let you know you're a star in France, at least in my group of friends. Thank you for that, Charlotte. To put it in a nutshell, I'm grateful for my Spotify recommendations for having led me to discover your great content. I hope you will answer me back. And if you don't, that's not a problem. Consider this your reply. I will... I understand you have a busy life, but my goal was to write you, so I achieved it. Thanks again. Sending you love from France, Charlotte, a teenager that admires your work. Isn't that sweet, you guys? I love these type of emails. Thank you, Charlotte. You're very sweet for writing me that, for taking the time to write me that. And so there you go. That is my official reply back to you. That is about it, you guys. Thank you for joining me for today's special live event episode, again, from the Loop Running Supply Company in Austin, Texas. I do hope to do more of these down the line in the future. I enjoyed it very much. So TBD on that, but thank you for joining me. I know you guys have plenty of choices out there for content. So every time you take the time to download this show, it means a great deal. So thank you guys. Please continue to be good to each other, but more importantly, be good to yourselves, especially around this holiday time. I know it's not easy for everybody. Until next time, this is Billy Yang signing off. See you next time.